I want to make it also absolutely clear that any attempt by the government to use a methodology that does not reflect the best practices of industrial policy in Barbados, of last in, first out, will cause the Barbados Labour Party to take whatever action is necessary to defend the workers who will be victims of a policy that does not reflect that last in, first out. I've already addressed why they are focusing on central government and not the statutory boards, but the last in, first out. But I have every confidence that Sir Roy Trotman and others in the Barbados Workers Union and indeed in the NUPW will ensure that there is utter transparency in this process, only on merit. You wanted to ask something?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What action would you take if it's not done the way that you expect it to be done?
Gershine, I will announce that action at the time. I am giving the industrial players the opportunity to do their job. This is not about the issuance of idle threats. This is about the issuance of a clear understanding as to what has made this country stable in the past. And we have all agreed, always in the past, last in, first out. It cannot be any partisan approach to dismissals in the same way that we have said that government. I want to hear too about the cutting of partisan spend. When the minister talks about no more discretionary waivers, I want to hear about Carib Cable, and I want to hear about cost you less. I want to hear about how he can justify all of that. I ain't even talking about Sandals yet. You understand? But we cannot have a case of who the cat like he like and who he kick he kick. This is not going to be that going down. And I give the Barbadian public that 75 years ago, we had to stand against forces equally as capable of undermining the welfare of Barbadian people. And if there is one thing that I understand clearly from where I stand, is that I have a duty to Barbadians, irrespective of political class, irrespective of gender, irrespective of money class, irrespective of anything. This country must be governed according to some simple principles and precepts. And industrially, one of them is last in, first out.
What is your forecast for Christmas and for the first months in the new year?
Well, to begin with, it depends on what type of forecast you're talking about, because most Bajans tonight can't even see past. The ones who are temporary or who work at statutory boards are all going to be asking themselves this afternoon, is it me? So I don't even know that you can get to that. In terms of the economy, I've said already that these measures will not have the desired impact because the deficit will still be unsustainable. In fact, it is still going to be close to double digit. And indeed, the reserves will continue to fall even if temporarily staved off by the punitive Credit Suisse loan. There is nothing that the minister addressed today that gave us any comfort towards increased economic activity. And fundamentally, put yourself in the position. If you were if you were an investor, would you be investing money in circumstances where there is no clarity as to when recovery will come? I mean, we now have to start thinking, we have to stop shifting, we have to stop avoiding, we have to stop hiding and peeping up. We have to reach the point that we have a crisis, we are playing with fire, and unless we stand up and out the fire, we are going to be consumed by it.
Do you think that government should take another look, a serious look at privatization of entities such as the Transport Board?
I think that the government has to start from the premise. I want to deal with approach, and I will address the country on it in January. Ad hoc measures will solve nothing. Structure follows function. I give the Barbadian public that just in the past, we have used principles and precepts to govern this country. We will do so again. The first thing you have to understand is, what are we trying to protect? What is the Barbadian interest that we are trying to protect? Can I say that a Barbadian interest has been protected when Cost You Less or Carib Cable is removed from paying all duties and taxes and everything? Can I say that the Barbadian interest is protected when we take an approach to cuts in government that does not even tell us what kind of government they want to have afterwards? Can I say that the Barbadian interest is protected when we continue to have a government spend money in a partisan manner? Can I say that a Barbadian interest has been protected when a government notionally tells you that it will take a 10% pay cut, which is the equivalent only to 2 ministers going home, when in truth and in fact it should be about 4 or 5 ministers and 3 parliamentary secretaries? When you look at the structure of the ministries, a lot of line ministers carry portfolios that don't even cause them to see 10 files a day. Labour can be attached to something else. Energy and environment can be attached to something else. We can go on. What is the role of the parsecs? What is the role of the ministers without portfolio that exists? How can you, in all conscience, ask people and tell people you are sending them home, but maintain that level of structure, of size of cabinet? Have the governor of the central bank having a lighting ceremony home at him last night and telling people, be of good cheer. And you know you're coming today to do this? No. 2014 will be different.
What would you have done differently?
I will address it in January. And I want you to know this too. The government has not even told us today that they were making a ministerial statement, a mini budget. The government does not share information with us. And whatever we put will be out of our memory and out of our understanding of what little public information there is. But even with that little public information, rest assured that I will place before the Barbadian public an alternative come early January to ensure that people recognize that as we decide where we want to go for the rest of our lives, we have choices in these matters because we know that better can be done. We have already put on the table the reduction of energy prices. We have already put on the table that electricity cost should be 12 cents per kilowatt hour less than it is. We've already put on the table 2 weeks ago at the Chamber of Commerce that government should be issuing VAT refund certificates that are marketable. So instead of owing $200 million in VAT refunds to businesses who cannot now pay their staff this week, that they will be able to sell off that VAT refund certificate even if at 90 cents in the dollar or 80 cents in the dollar and have cash flow so that their business can continue. You understand? And I almost get offended in the belief that any entity in this country could be as incompetent as this group that has now presided over the continued decimation of the Barbadian spirit, the Barbadian economy, the Barbadian business and the Barbadian household.